Yates. Good morning from the Space Coast in Florida. Hey, it's 10 a.m. here on the east coast of Florida. I don't know where you're at, but of course it's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're on the Pacific Coast, 3 hours difference. So it's 7 a.m. Good morning. I hope you're having your cup of coffee. I'm starting my day with a cup of coffee. Hey, thank you everybody who gave me advice yesterday on a couple different things. I took advice from you on a couple different ways yesterday. One of them was I ended my evening with tea. I told you yesterday that I got in the habit of liking to end the evening with a little warm beverage, right? It kind of warms our insides, makes us feel good. And then I realized sometimes I'm laying awake at 2 o'clock in the morning with racing thoughts in my head. I'm thinking, what? I should be asleep right now. I'm into my morning routine. This is not going to help me by being up at 2 o'clock in the morning thinking a million different thoughts. And someone reminded me, because I know that it's true, that especially I was thinking of chamomile. That's the tea that I had last night. And I couldn't think of it yesterday. But somebody said, have you tried tea? And I hadn't tried tea. Welcome everybody if you're just joining in. I know you're jumping in maybe on the Shorts feed live. Hey, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, it's going to be great content for you because I know you're meant for more. You want to be more, become more. You know how important that is, not just for yourself, but you and your family. So thanks for jumping on here in the live feed. I appreciate you and all the new subscribers that we got yesterday on the channel. And I'm going to talk a little bit about you gray creators, which I've named it. I think it's also something I've read on the internet, gray creators. People in their 50s, 60s, 70s who are now becoming creators. They have YouTube channels, they're making videos, and they're enjoying that process. And I call them, and I think maybe I've read it somewhere else. I'm not going to take credit for that, but I'm going to call them gray creators, people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. So thanks for jumping in here. Tom, thanks for checking in. Tim, Maria, thank you. Mark, you're driving. Listen, don't crash. So hats off to the gray creators. I'm one of those, but I'm an early adopter, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But video, I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why I've been in the habit now for at least 3 days, maybe 4 days, going live early in the morning, and I've gotten a lot out of it. I know a lot of other people have taken some value from it because I've read your positive comments and I've replied to them. But raw and real is really going to make the day going forward, especially for creators, even for us consumers. Raw and real. I just came up with that. Maybe I'll use that in a series that I'm going to do. Raw and real. And I'll spell real R-E-E-L, right? Raw and real, like a reel of film. So why raw and real is going to be the way going forward, not just for creators, but also for consumers. I think that is going to be a big thing going forward for a couple different reasons. Why raw and real is going to be the way going forward. I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but it's because, we've gone through some phases where we went with sharing information, knowledge that we knew, sharing it with other people, and then we went into a phase for entertainment, trying to keep people on the platform, and now we're more into raw and real. Thanks for joining. Leave a comment. Hey, like, subscribe, join a community in progress. I'm going to be talking about gray creators. I guess I'm one of them. Although, now that I look back, and I'm in that season of life, and I can look back and say, oh, wait a minute, I've always kind of had that energy. I've always had that motive. I've always been a creator before I was gray. And so when I look back, I've always had that drive. And so even though I put my content out there in my channel and my podcast, is everything self-improvement, personal growth, motivation, inspiration. Really, it's about transformation. So many people, they don't believe people can change. They don't believe they can change. That's in their own head, and nobody can force them to make the changes in their thinking, in what they're doing, in the responses they're going to be getting, the results that they're going to be getting. But we're not about those people. That's not our tribe. That's not our group. This is about you and me, the people who see change as opportunity. Challenge is door to opportunity. And so you and I are on a different level of way we think. And so we can't really change the people that don't have that desire, that drive, or that go to do that. But that's okay, because we can be around each other and we can gather more people in our tribe, in our community, in our group, in the people that we interact with, in the proximity that we're going to be around. So we have control over that. We know it's right. It's the internal game that wins the day, not the external. So we're not concerned with those people. Although, hey, we'll bring them in if they're willing, open-minded, open-hearted to learn, right? And transform. It's really all about transformation. And so many people don't believe in it. People don't change. They are who they are. A leopard does not change his spots. But if you changed, if you made a transformation in any way, whether it's physical, your physical health, your physical well-being, whether it's in your job, changing careers, then you have a track record that just cements that belief. You're certain. Listen, I've changed. I've made a different way of living through my thinking, doing, so now you have a track record. So I was thinking about before I go into the gray creators, let's talk about video and why raw and real is going to be the way going forward. I talked about this earlier, raw and real. Hey, I'm going to do a series on that, and I'm going to name it Raw and Real, but I'm going to spell real, R-E-E-L, right? Like a reel of film. Why raw and real are going... See, remember in the past, if you're older than 10 years old, you know there was a time we wondered, did that really happen? Is that really true? Oops, there's video. Yep, that's what happened. And we could rely on video. So video made it real. Video made it true. Right? You had a court case. Did this really happen? You're innocent until proven guilty. Wait a minute, we have video of how it happened. Oops, okay, that's the truth. Well, now this script has been flipped, right? Or is flipping. Now we can't rely on that. Now we look at a video and we think, I don't know if that really happened. AI has flipped the script, although it's a tool we can use to create more time and advancement in our personal life and also in our careers and our businesses. It's a tool, but it's also flipped the script on what is real and what is true. And that's why going forward, raw and real is going to be more important. That's why I'm going live today with you, because believe me, there's going to be mistakes. I'm going to flub some of my lines because I don't have any lines. I'm just speaking to you right from my head thoughts, heart, out the mouth. And sometimes those thoughts are so rapid, my tongue will trip over. But it's raw and real. And you can be confident, right, that I'm not on a teleprompter. I actually could be, and you probably couldn't tell the difference. I'm not operating from notes today. I'm operating from history, my past experience, my mission of sharing those things, and it just cements those principles and values. Thanks for checking in. All right, hey, wow. I don't even know how to say it. Hey, get your life in order. Listen, I'm constantly getting my life in order. It's going to be a never-ending game. So we can never think, right? Our mindset has to be, I'm never going to get to a point, okay, I'm done now. I've reached the plateau. I've learned everything I need to know, because everything is constantly changing. And we have to constantly change too. We have to be constantly being transformed all the time. And we're either going to be transformed by outside environment, or we're going to be transformed by the inner game that we're going to take control of. So I was talking about these gray creators, which I think is great. These people, 50s, 60s, 70s, now they're starting YouTube channels. They're sharing things. They're becoming popular. They're monetizing their channels. They're making money. And I think that is awesome. You know, I guess you could put me in that category, but not a new. When I think back now, as I look back, and fortunately or unfortunately, I have 68 years to look back on. But when I look back, I've always had that drive to be creating, to making movies and films, because I think back of my 13-year-old self when I just loved grabbing my dad's Super 8mm camera, and putting it on top of the stepladder, right? And creating a scene or a shot, right? And then stopping my recording and then, changing the scene, hit record again, because I was editing on the go, because there was no way to edit film back then. And we talk about filming things today on our cameras and our phones. But back then we actually filmed on film. We hit the button and then that opened the shutter, and then whatever images were coming in were implanted on that film, and that was it. And then we took that piece of film that we paid money for and we took it to the place to be developed. And then it's going to be at least a week before we get to see what the hell we shot, what the results were. And I loved that whole process. We're going back, 55 years ago. I loved that process of the Super 8 millimeter film, creating shots and scenes. I wasn't sharing it with anybody but myself, my family, the neighbors, the people who I put in those little films. There were no platforms back then to share those things, but I enjoyed the circle that I did have of being creative. So going forward today, I get excited because of the contrast, because I see what we had to work with 55 years ago, and now I see what we got to work with today and how we can create and we can share that creation with the world, and it costs you nothing. And so when you have that contrast in your knowledge bank, then I want to share that with you, maybe who haven't had that contrast. And so start look at the history and think, wow, this is one of the greatest times to be alive. We've never been at a greater time, especially if you want to be a creator, whether you're a gray, middle, or young. But now the opportunities are endless. And so I look back fondly with those memories of those Super 8, really, some of those skills I think maybe I carry with me today. And so raw and real going forward is the name of the game, everybody. Why? Because AI has flipped the script. Video used to be proof that is real. I see the video of it. And now with AI, we see that could be bullshit. It could not be real. That's how well AI has developed in creating video that may or may not be real. And it puts questions in our mind. That's why going forward, raw and real is going to be your superpower if you're a creator. And if you're a consumer of stuff like from me, that I want to share stuff that adds value to your life, I get off on that, all right? I get ginned up by it. And because I've transformed, it's not about motivation, inspiration, personal. It is really about transformation and identity belief. Do you believe you can make the transformation? Maybe you're at a level, right, that's pretty successful. People around you are going to say, hey, why are you driven to do more? You got a great life. Look what you've done. You got enough. Do you really need more? And then you have another group of people you can hang around in proximity who say, hey, Tom, you know what? Kick ass. Go for more. You can do more. I'm excited for you. You know what? Learn some more skills. Why not make a pivot in your life right now? That's exciting. You know what? I love watching your stuff, man. It gets me going. Entertains me, number one. And so listen, transformation is the key. It can happen anytime, anywhere, to any person, regardless of outside circumstances. We know that everything is an inside job. It's a concept we just need to adopt. So I guess I've always had that drive, motivation, energy for creation, which I like that the new way going forward is raw and real. I like it because I actually have that energy. It's not a bullshit energy. It's not something fake or made up. That's why it's natural for me to turn on the camera and go live. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, we are gathering a bigger and bigger group of a community of progress. People who really know they're meant for more, want to do more, actually want to become more. It's not about getting things right. That's the greatest concept of the world. Money is a great way to keep score. To a certain extent, it's going to increase our happiness, but really all money does is reveal more of who we are. If you're a stingy, mean person, and you get a lot of money, it's going to allow you to be meaner and stingier with more people and have a greater impact with your meanness and stinginess. If you're someone who's really shares, philanthropic, and likes to bring up others, encourage others, team up with others, and provide value, more money is going to allow you to expand your reach to more people, and you're going to have more of a positive impact on more people. Expanding your reach is kind of a natural inclination in our inner selves to want to become more and to expand and to live the best way we know how. How big does a tree grow? As big as it can. So that's what we should do. Jim Rohn, one of my early mentors who's passed away, right? People used to ask him, hey, I make $50,000. Is that enough? Is $50,000 enough? And he said, yeah, if it's the best you can do, that's enough. That's enough. Because what most messes with the mind when we're not doing everything we can do, we know we have the ability to do more, become more, and we're not doing it, right? Paul writes in the Bible. I'm not going to go Bible based with you, But he writes in the Bible, the things that I should do, and that I know I should do, I don't do. And the things that I know I shouldn't do, I end up doing. And so that messes with our mind. We're not living up to our full potential because we know the ability that we have. So the energy, I guess, when I look back on my transformation in different ways, career-wise and creative-wise, friendship, family-wise, in my philosophy-wise, the transformations that I've made, when I look back, so I've always had that drive. Staying Hungry, that was a movie, I believe Arnold Schwarzenegger, that was around his life, or he was in the movie Stay Hungry, about bodybuilding. And so I'm hungry. I still have that hunger, age 68, that I had when I was 16. So I guess when I look back, I've always had that drive, and it's led me to certain paths that I now look back and I see, wow, that was a hell of a, that was a difficult time. Even though I had that drive in me, here I was in upstate New York, small village town that I grew up with, limited resources, good family values, principles, but, we didn't even have a street light, limited access to movie theaters and all sorts of cultural things, reading books, magazines, movies. I had this drive in me to want to, I became a deputy sheriff in upstate New York in the rural areas. Right? We had, our big violence of the day was a car deer accident. And I had this drive in me. I want to go to the big city. I want to join a big city police department. And I had that drive. I still wanted to be an entertainer. I was doing comedy for my high school class. So I guess I always had that inner drive. And I'm looking back, I don't know where that really came from. Maybe part of it was, I loved, the culture of our little hometown. Let me acknowledge my buddies here, my new found friends. I can't even say it. I've just been going through some things with Case. It just makes me feel like my life on hold. Listen, hey, I'm with you. Listen, maybe I haven't shared this with you, man. I'm going through an unwanted divorce right now that really was a happy marriage that I got really joy from my marriage. It was a great marriage, a great team. We were Team Yates. And what I will attest to is when I've learned so much, I've immersed myself in learning about antidepressants, SSRIs. And so, wow, my identity is positivity, motivation, inspiration, transformation. And so, hey, I'm with you. Going through a tough time, we have to keep going. And right, because I talked about this yesterday, because I learned it, when life hits us with major anxiety, and it's going to hit us. If it's not you personally, it's going to hit someone close to you. We're going to find out a few things when that hits us. Boom, unwanted divorce for me, past 8 months, despair. That's not my identity. If you're going through hell, keep going. We talked about that, but when hell hits you, you're going to find out a few things. How strong you really are. How strong really am I? And now that I'm being hit with this, you ask yourself that question. And you know what? Keep going. And the more you keep going, the next day, today, tomorrow, oh wow, you're going to get stronger and stronger, right? Who your friends really are, you're going to find that out, right? Because when all hell breaks loose, real friends hang around. Fake ones, they're not going to be there for you. So you're going to find out. It's a good straining of the fakes, and now the real ones are going to expose themselves. And so you're going to have lessons learned. So keep going. Damn it, I got to encourage you. That's part of what helps me. Still things are going to, we're going to have neural associations with memories, different things we see, TV shows. If you're emotional like me, something's going to hit you and it's going to, you're going to be sad. Maybe you cry, weep. I spent a lot of nights weeping over the past 8 months, all right? And I'm coming through it now, even though people would tell me, Cliff, you got to go through it. You got to move on. And boy, that did not land well. If anything, it pissed me off and I rejected that shit. Listen, I'm in the middle of it right now, all right? So you're a little, move on, Cliff. You got this. It's a lot easier said. So if you're going, listen, I want to encourage you. Now that helped me, encouraging other people, right? Learning, I became part of a group on Facebook called Marriages Destroyed by SSRIs, right? And SSRIs are just a group of antidepressant drugs. And it's called SSRIs because they're selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And they all kind of do that thing. They blunt emotions and make people feel less anxious, less depressed. So they believe that's really working for them, but it really does cross the blood-brain barrier, and it changes the way they think. And next thing you know, your relationship might be falling apart. And even though it's the drugs, it's still tragic. If you're like me, 30 years together, full of a loving relationship, and then boom, you're hit. I don't want a divorce. So I know you might be going through some things. Listen, my heart goes out to you, and it's good to get around like-minded people that are going through those things. For some reason, it really, not only does it help to vent to other people that are willing to listen, and thank you to my friends who listened to me vent some of the same things 600 times, and yet they were still there willing to listen and let me dump all that shit on them. And you know what, dumping that out really helps. I think that's why some forms of therapy do work, right? When it's talking, you just go and you're just venting to this person who's listening and bouncing ideas back to you from an indifferent point of view, right? They're not connected to the situation emotionally, and it can bolster, what I'm feeling and thinking is normal, and I'm not crazy, and so you're in the right place mentally, emotionally. You're sad, you're going through something, but you are going to find out how strong you are, and you're going to get stronger, right? Number one, by keeping it going. Two, you're going to find out who your true friends are, right? When hell breaks loose, real friends hang around. And the third thing is you're creating immunity for future anxiety, future problems, because you have a track record of already going through it. Okay, I've gone through this before, right? Two different things. With me, I realize God has always been with me. All glory to God, He's got me through these things before. And if you're not a godly person, maybe something inside you says, I found a way in the past to get through this. I'm going to find a way in the future to get through this. So, hey, hang in there, please. And thanks for having the courage to share some. I don't care if you're anonymous or what, I'm here with me. You had the courage to be vulnerable and share a true feeling with me. Hey, I'm going through some stuff right now. I feel everything's on hold. And maybe that's a season you're in. This is not my shit. I learned this from Tony Robbins and other people in the space, right? The recognizing of seasons, right? You and I then, we've gone through a winter. Maybe you're going through the winter right now. We all go through winters. We got to recognize those patterns and seasons, right? So you're going through a season right now, so maybe everything has to be on hold. That's okay. But you got to know consciously, right? Cognitively, I'm in a winter. And man, son of a bitch, this is a hard winter. Okay, but for hundreds of thousands of years, spring has followed winter. So now that's coming. Yeah, I'm in winter. This sucks. I feel like I'm going to freeze to death, right? Metaphorically. But hey, spring follows winter. So with confidence that that's going to happen. So when you say things are on hold, that's an important that's an important decision, because recognizing patterns and seasons, right? So listen, people who planted in winter, they starved to death. And people who planted in spring, they harvested, and then they had enough to make it through the next winter. That's a great metaphor for your life right now. So when you say you're on hold, hey, that's a good thing. I like what you said there. I learned from that today. Now, life is on, so you shouldn't really be planting right now. Maybe in this current mental and emotional state that you're in, you shouldn't be planting. It's not the right season, right? It's not the right pattern. So recognize the patterns. That's one key. The next key is to implement the strategies for the season that you're in. So, hey, being on hold is not so bad. What can you do to start to turn your mental and emotional state? I talked about this yesterday, how important, that's the most important thing. Before you get a strategy for your life, that you focus on controlling your mental and emotional state. That's the most important thing, mental and emotional state. And we can control that state by doing certain things. We can do it on a daily basis, right? By those three things I always talk about, not mine. I learned from Tony Robbins. Change your physiology, how you're moving your body, right? That's why you feel so much better when you go into the gym. It's not just the hormones and all those things that you're activating It's because you're changing your physiology, the way you're moving your body. Number one. Number two, then you're changing your focus. Now you're focused on what am I going to do next? What am I working out today? Okay, I'm going to start with bench press. See, now you've changed physiology. Now you're changing your focus. And now you've already changed what you're saying to yourself, your self-talk. You're not saying, why does this happen to me? Why am I such a loser? What could I have done differently? You're not ruminating on those thoughts that aren't serving you. So now you've taken those 3 steps to change your mental and emotional states. One of the key factors in transformation of your life, right? Not only physically, but mentally and in your soul. And so work on that. You're in that season, and the fact that you recognize that, so important. Look at the value you added today already. Thank you. Understand, I've just been going through, okay, it's the same thing. Get my life in order. Hey, thanks for coming on here and sharing. I really appreciate it. Unbelievable. I see we're still recording. I don't know. I took a call. My doctor was calling. Matter of fact, I want to do a podcast on, the fact is, a year ago, it was March, not quite a year ago. I went to the doctor, everybody. This is not bullshit. I want to do I got to look at studies on this. And so everybody was talking about hormones, testosterone. You should try TRT. I was 200. These are people in their 60s that I'm talking to, my friends, right, in my age group. But I see people in the gym, right, guys who want to get bigger, builder. They're already on testosterone replacement therapy. These people are in their 30s and 40s because they're bodybuilders. So I'm 68. I get it done. Get my hormones checked because everybody's telling you probably need TRT. Why do I need TRT, people? Do you think I have a lack of energy? What are you, nuts? And so I go to the doctor, have the blood work done, full makeup, and so my total testosterone was 709, which is crazy good. But then the doctor says, well, the most important part of this blood result is your free testosterone is low. It's 40. That could be, that's really what is available for you to use, free testosterone in your blood. And so that's what you want to increase. And so his strategy was increase your grams of protein, and you're going to release more free testosterone into your system naturally. He says, I'm not going to put you on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, because yours is already too high for your age group. Not too high, but it's high enough where you don't need TRT. So that was exciting for me, but your free is too low. 40 is too low, right? It should be, I forgot what the healthy range, it was maybe over 50, 55, I believe, for the free. And so he says, I want you to increase I was already trying to increase my protein because I was trying to actually gain muscle and maintain muscle size. I'd actually lost too much weight. And so I thought that I was already taking in plenty of protein. When I started keeping track of my macronutrients, and I realized, okay, I'm only getting probably 120 at the most grams of protein. So if I wanted to get my weight up to 180, I need to be at least at 180 grams of protein, which is not always that easy to do. But now that I'm focused on it, and where focus goes, energy flows, now that I had the goal of getting 180 grams of protein a day, and so I started consistently getting 200 grams of protein a day. And it took effort and a lot of work. And so that's what my doctor said would be a good strategy to increase my free testosterone. And we're talking about hormones, people. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I know you're jumping in and out of the shorts feed. So I'm talking about testosterone, how I got checked last March. Total 709, pretty good number for 68. Free, too low, 40. And then what I do? My doctor said increase my protein intake. So I did that with a combination of eggs. I eat a lot of eggs, a protein powder, tuna, and that's how. Adding healthy beef into the program. Fish, obviously, you get your omega-3s. And so now I'm retested. I just got retested December. My total testosterone was 1,089. 1,000, and my free went from 40 to over 80. Over 80. My doctor said, you got teenage numbers in testosterone. And then I had to figure out, hey, well, how did this happen? So, and I wanted to, because I just didn't raise my protein intake. I also started deadlifting, once a week. And also once a week, I started sprinting. 7 to 8 sprints, 10 to 12 seconds in length, right? So I averaged probably 5 or 6 sets of those sprints once a week. So I know I made that change. Deadlifting, continue to weight training. I do play tennis, but that's something I have always been doing for fun. That was my fun movement exercise. And then increasing the protein, which my doctor said would release the free. So I think it was a combination of the three, because I asked personal trainers that I'm connected with in the gym, and they said, it's probably a combination of all three. Definitely deadlifting helps stimulate the increase in testosterone. Definitely, they said the sprinting helps for sure. So I'm going to look at some studies on it, because there must be studies that show these things increased your testosterone. But I have friends, well, most of them, when I think about it, all of them have been on TRT. So maybe that's why they're coming from that point of view. But I had to send them, I had to send them pictures of my test results, because they were skeptical. Cliff, are you telling me that you increased your testosterone levels total over 1,000, and then you're free to over 80 without any TRT? You're not taking any supplements? I go, no, I'm not taking any supplements. I'm taking protein, which I've always taken. I've increased my protein intake, and I do my sprints. And then, I've been doing deadlifting. So I think it's a combination of all three. So when I do a podcast on the testosterone, I'm going to make sure I have images of my test results, because until I sent those to people, they really were very skeptical. My own close friends were saying, there's no way that you've increased your testosterone that much. Well, there is a way. I did it, and it's true. So I do have the numbers of a teenager. Let's hope I can keep it. I'm going to get tested again in March, just because my LDL was a little bit high. It was over the safety range, but that's okay, because my triglycerides were so low, 60. That indicates that the low density lipoproteins, which carries cholesterol, that those are the large fluffy kind, and those aren't the kinds that get stuck in your arteries. So you're not really getting a true look at your cholesterol when they tell you bad or good cholesterol. There's no bad or good, it's just cholesterol. The only bad or good is the HDL, which are high dense lipoproteins, and LDL is low dense lipoproteins. These are the proteins that carry cholesterol throughout the body. So we actually need it. So when doctors put you on these statins, they're destroying cholesterol levels, even stuff that's good for you. So if we can stay off these statins by just really eating nutrient dense foods, stay away from sugars and processed foods, stay away from the chemically altered oils, stick with natural, extra virgin olive oil, stick using that for cooking instead of your fats and your Criscos and your butters or margarines, and you're going to be better off. You're going to live longer. I can't guarantee you're going to live longer. I know you're going to add life to your years, and in most cases, you're going to add years to your life. But if you do these things, which I'm talking about, you're going to add life to your years. And, one of the bad things about my unwanted divorce is, my wife, 61 years old, young looking, vivacious, sexy, so attractive. And so now, looking around, well, what if I did start dating again? Looking around, I'm looking at women my age, no hate on you. I'm not throwing any shade on you, as they would say, but I see a lot of women my age, a lot, not everybody, but a lot of women my age. Wow, they look like grandma. They look like my grandma did back in the day. Ooh, not attractive to that at all. And so, I have to remember, hey, listen, Cliff, you're 68. What do you think? You look like you're 20? Well, yeah, I do, because that's the way I feel. That's the energy I bring. And a lot of the people that I hang around with my age, the energy they have, it's not a match for me. They're in the rocking chair. I can't be there, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm still coming with hunger, a vivacious, a rigorousness. And that's going to be part of my raw and real going forward. Thanks for checking in. Hey, thank you. Yes. Oh, my God. You are awesome. Listen, you're awesome. But transformation is the key, everybody. Transformation is the key. And some of the hardest things we're going to go through If we look back, we know we found our true friends, right? We look back, we see how strong we've already been in other situations. Okay, this is just another episode, another season, another pattern that we're going to go through, right? We've been through tough times before, right? We have the resilience. We have, okay, it hit us hard. It hit us in the stomach. It kicked us in the balls. But guess what? We're going to go forward because we have a history, right? We have an immunity to being too much affected by how terrible this situation is. And we know that it's a situation. What does it mean? It's a pattern. It's a season of life we're going to get through. Winter, okay, spring's coming. Get ready. You can't prepare for spring, just like in the summer when you prepare for winter. What do ants do all summer long? You ever see ants, what they're doing? They're preparing for winter. Never stop. Put anything in their path. What do? If they can't go around it, they go over or under it, but they never stop. Ants never stop. You ever try to get rid of ants? They persevere. They are relentless in their pursuit to always be gathering for the winter. Just like squirrels, they gather for the winter. All summer long, they're preparing for the winter. They are in anticipation. They're ahead of the game. Why? Because they recognize, well, in the squirrel's case, in the ant's case, it's in their DNA. It's just the way they are wired. They're already wired to do that for survival and reproduction. Us as humans, we have free will, free choice, and we got to make those choices for ourselves to get wisdom to recognize patterns and seasons and then implement our strategies in relation to those seasons. So, thank you, Lord in heaven. I give my all glory to God, to my vivacious vigor and rigor going forward. And I look back and see that I've always had that drive for some reason. And maybe it's because it was born maybe in high school when I think of the development years, because I was around the jocks and I wanted to be part of these jocks. I wanted to be on these teams. Our whole town was built around our identity as this football dynamo. We went 5 years without a loss, 40-0, little, Section 5 football team. But can you imagine that was the psychology of winning was everywhere in my high school, really connected to the football team. Well, I want to be part of this group, man. I love these guys. These are my friends. Unfortunately for me, or fortunate, right? I was predetermined to be very skinny, very slight of weight. People made fun of me, pushed me around. Why are they doing this? I don't know. I don't want to be skinny, but I do want to be part of this football team. And so for junior varsity, I could join junior varsity. I could join the JV team. You had to make the varsity team, but the JV team you could join in. So I joined in, I joined the JV team. Now I'm in the football team. I'm part of the crew. And I love doing the drills. I remember doing the monkey roll, 3 of us, boom, boom, boom. That was fun. And then we did this called the snake pit. And that's where, you got the pads on and then, people would just keep running at you. And then I had a nickname for a while. I remember just now, right? Swivel hips. Because, man, I was quick to move out of the way. Because when I got hit, I flew, right? Everybody in my high school that was on the football team, I think probably the minimum weight people were like 150, 160, the slightest of weight. Here I was 6'2", 130. There was nobody lighter or skinnier than me on the football team. Nobody. Not one. Not even close. So 160, the next one above me probably, but most of my friends on the football team who went on to a great varsity career in high school, they were, 175, 180 plus. And we had a couple 200, 250-ers on my high school team. And so I remember going through that snake pit, swivel hips, got out of the way of everybody. And then I remember I relaxed. And just as I relaxed, I didn't realize there was one more player coming at me. My best friend in high school, Jerry Forsyth, he planted his helmet right there. And maybe it was good that I was in a relaxed state because I flew about 10 feet in the air, landed on my back, and I think because of that hit, because I was in a relaxed state, it's like when you're drunk, right? People are drunk and they get in a traffic accident. They're the ones who don't get injured because they're so loose. So I think because I was relaxed and didn't see the hit coming and I flew in the air, I didn't get injured, except for that helmet that hit me right here on the joint of my jaw. I did have a click in my jaw for about 25 years. I don't have that anymore. But I remember Jerry hit me right there with the top of his helmet. I flew in the air because I had relaxed. And Jerry was my best friend in the world. And Jerry passed away from a rare disease in his 30s. which was shocking. And I use that really to drive me when I think about Jerry and all the great times we spent together playing ping pong, basketball, and I wanted to be part. And my point was that I was getting to was I had that hunger and drive. I wanted to be part of that football team. But, so maybe that was the drive that was born out of wanting to be on the football team, not making it, right? I got beat up. I was like a cartoon figure on the JV team. I was like if you think of a cartoon, I had my pads on, were almost heavier than me. I'm 6'2", 130. And then I'm trying to play with all my buddies here that are football players, and they grew up really playing football. I really didn't. And so I'm doing those 2-a-day practices and I'm loving the grind and the hardness of it. But let me tell you something. And then when we scrimmaged and the play went on, you would see me on my back. You can picture a cartoon and I'd have footprints across my face. And so listen to me, day by day, I was buried in the mud. And so that wasn't for me, man. I wanted it to be. My friends were jocks, but that's okay. And so, it's all about social rejection, right? We do a lot of things because we don't want to be socially rejected. And that's what I did the podcast on 2 days ago, right? I could care less, which means we need to turn down caring so much about what people say or their judgment of us. Not to none, we don't want zero, but not too much, right? The people who are the most dangerous in the world, they're the ones who don't have any shame. They care zero, right? They lie, cheat, and steal, and they don't give a shit about anything. Those people are dangerous. So we just want to turn down how much value that we give other people's judgment and opinions of us to a certain level, and not to be none, but not too much. And so I had that drive to be, and then I found, I could make people laugh. That got me accepted in high school, right? I got into repeating comedy routines I saw on television. And next thing you know, I'm in front of the class. I'm repeating these routines. I didn't know at that time you're supposed to write your own material. I was just recanting what I saw on the Tonight Show the night before. The 6-10 minutes that I saw. Next thing you know, people wanted me to do comedy for them in the lunchroom. Teachers would allow me to have 10 minutes at the end of class to do my stand-up comedy. And I was accepted. Right? And I was accepted by girls. I was accepted by the footballers. I was accepted by the nerds, the drama queens, kings. As a matter of fact, I went out for drama club and I got picked for 2 plays. The Prisoner of 2nd Avenue, Neil Simon play, and also Peter Pan. I played Mr. Darling, right? I tried out, got picked each time for the school plays. Tried out each time, tried football team, basketball team, no picks. That wasn't my natural born talents. And so here I was, performing, entertaining. I'm already doing it in front of the class. There's a bunch of people, they don't want anything to do with talking in front of people, performing, entertaining. Me, I'm craving it. I like it. I enjoy it. Easy for me to do. Needed to channel our own gifts. Another lesson for the day. Let's channel our own gifts, which already we are implanted with. God gave us certain gifts. So we don't need any more gifts. You are enough. All we need is more wisdom to better use the gifts we've already been given. That is the key. That is really a wise thing that we can implement in our transformation. I'm transforming even today. This is never going to stop. So, move on. Keep going. If you're going through hell, keep going, because you're going to come out the other side. There is going to be the other side. If you're in the tunnel, there's another side. Try to have a further vision. Look way out there. Do you see the light? Yeah, that's not a train coming. That is a light of a new day, everybody. And you can be there, and you are going to be there. I have confidence in you. I enjoy encouraging you. Let me recognize Kyle, thanks for jumping on here, my brother. Hey, hi, brother. How are you? Hey, Maria, good to see you. Hope you're not driving today. All right, that is fantastic. Thanks for checking in, everybody. I know people are jumping in and out of the shorts feed as I go live here on my YouTube channel. The Cliff Yates Show is housed here. I have a podcast, so if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, what does that do? When you hit subscribe and the bell button, you're going to get notified when the next video comes out, but it tells the person that's creating their algorithm in the YouTube, it tells YouTube, hey, people are interacting with the channel. They liked it and they subscribed. They left a comment. you know what, I'm going to show this video to more people. It must have value. And so that's how you help creators. You know what, hit the like button. If you have the time, leave a comment. I want to thank everybody yesterday for all the positive comments, I'll tell you right. But, you know, what I learned in my own podcast, I could care less, right? There's always going to be haters out there. There's always going to be people have a propensity to attack because they are attached to and they're committed to mediocrity. So people are going to mock and or attack your positivity, your optimism. I follow a guy. I guess I could say he's a kid, but I think he's 40 now. Gary V. He wrote the book Crush It. He started out with a wine tasting or a wine buying app, and he worked in his dad's his wine store. And so he he started using social media, and now he's kind of a guru in that space. And he's come forward with a couple different lessons about creation. But I follow Gary V all the time, and he has lessons all the time about creativity and what you should be doing and across different platforms. And he has a new thing that he's been doing. I almost forgot it, and I just came to my head because he starts yelling. He goes live all the time. He's selling. You know, he just turns the damn camera on, and a lot of things. In his new mantra he yells is "Ayo, ayo." See, I don't care. I'm not worried about sounding silly. Silly's good. Ayo, because to him, Ayo is important. It's accountability and optimism. Accountability. It's all us. We're responsible for our outside circumstances. I'm responsible for my unwanted divorce. I picked the person I was with. I made the choice, right? And there's a lot of great things that came out of that. Not everything is all good or all bad, but ayo, accountability and optimism. But just remember, if you're going to be a creator and put yourself out there, or you're just going to be in your neighborhood or the grocery store, remember, accountability. You're going to be responsible for how people are going to react to you in the outside circumstances to a certain extent. But accountability and optimism. Remember, people are going to mock and attack your optimism because they're not going to like it. They're going to be repelled by it. And in this day and age, it's so easy to slam you with a comment, you know, from the dark shadows. And you have to have some immunity to that. You can't let that sting you and let you back down from what you're meant to do or what you want to do or what you're driven to do. Keep going forward regardless of those comments. You may find a constructive comment. I find this all the time. I was thinking about that just a second ago when somebody 2 years ago made the comment on one of my podcasts, "Stop saying so." You know, I went to Toastmasters 15 years ago, and it taught me really how to make myself conscious of the ums and ahs and get those out of my conversation. And I did a pretty good job of that. But I noticed I was using another filler, and it was a comment. I'll say it's a backhanded, constructive, critical comment. Hey, stop saying so. Every other word you say is so. It's annoying. And then I watched my own video back, which sometimes is, it's not pleasurable watching our own recordings, hearing our own voice. But I audited it myself. Let me take a critical look based on some feedback that I got. I won't even say criticism. I got some feedback, and I said, let's look at that. Is that real? Am I actually doing that? Because I don't think I'm doing it. And when I watched the video, man, it seemed like every third word I was saying, so this is what you should be doing. And so let me tell you what, you know, I did, and I got, you know, great results from this. So going forward, I did, and I go, man, I say so. And so I started to be conscious of what I was saying in my videos, specifically the so's. Right? I had done a good job getting rid of the ums and ahs as filler words, getting comfortable with pauses. And you can practice this on your own. You know, you don't have to publish things or share them with the world and invite criticism. You can practice in private to yourself. Turn on the damn camera, whether it's your iPhone or your DSLR, whatever camera you're using. Hey, record yourself. Record yourself, then play the video back. And so you can audit yourself. You don't have to publish it, right? If you want to do it, I say do it. You know, open yourself up, right? You're going to get the reps in. Take those hits, take the criticism. Sometimes it's going to be positive feedback. maybe negative feedback, but it's all going to be feedback, and you can actually critically look at it. Does this have any value to it? No, it's a bunch of bullshit. It's just a hater. All right, discount that moving forward. And when you disregard, and God, who said this? Tony Robbins? When you disregard the judgment and opinion of others, you open the prison doors, and you're not a prisoner by someone else's opinion or judgment of you. So going forward, turn that down. Turn down the caring. You know, and I've had this lesson all along. I remember when I was producing a comedy show, and I had a lot of anxiety over it. And the guy who was filming it, who had done a lot of things for HBO, and because of our friendship, he was we had a 3-camera shoot. We had a jib, everything on this theater show that I was doing. And he could tell, since I had rented the theater, printed the tickets, got people to buy, people are coming. And so this is a lot of comedians, when they film a special, they film it over 2 or 3 nights in a comedy club, and they edit the best versions of those things and the best reactions of the audience. But, you know, I couldn't do that. I was doing a one and done comedy show because I was doing a theater night that I rented the theater. And so everything really hinged on one night. And I remember that producer friend of mine who is still, he's a great musician and comedian to this day. But I remember him telling me, Cliff, you know, whoever cares the less does the best. And, you know, so now when I learned that lesson of how I can care less, and I realized back then people were actually telling me that, and maybe not in the best way, but it was a good lesson. Whoever cares the least does the best. In other words, what he was trying to tell me was, don't worry about people's reaction. Don't worry about their judgment of you, because that's going to inhibit how you're going to perform tonight. You need to go out there free. Hey, I don't know what the reaction is going to be, but this is me. This is my comedy. This is my routine. Hey, listen, I've done this routine 600 times. So listen, I have confidence it's going to work for you. You're my family, friends, people I'm associated with. You bought tickets. You want me to do well, right? I'm confident of that. You know, you got babysitters. You made arrangements to come to the show tonight. You paid money for the ticket. You're invested in this night of entertainment. You already have a connection with me if you've come to the show, because it was only a 300-seater and we sold it out. When I say I sold it out, I had a team. Even though I say I was a solopreneur in this deal where I rented the theater, I did these things, but actually I gathered a team, right? My wife was part of my team, right? She was selling the drinks. Her friend were part of the opening video that I was making for this theater show, because I was going to use this in several different ways, right? I used this show for income, right? I made sure that I charged enough money. I know I was going to bring value. Well, charge money for the value that you're bringing to the table, to the marketplace. That's how you're going to get paid. Yes, we're all equal in God's eyes, but we're not all equal in the marketplace. So you're going to get paid for the value that you bring. Always be trying to increase your value that you're bringing to the marketplace, and you're going to increase your income. You'll never be hurting for money. Again, it's all about adding value. That's what I'm trying to do with you today. And so thanks for checking in here. Yeah, I'm live, and people are going to be jumping in and out of the shorts feed. I appreciate you. It's going to be great content going forward, and I already have a history of doing that. So listen, subscribe to the channel if you're just stopping by, you're checking in. Who's the crazy person on the screen right now? Hey, hang out. Hey, subscribe. Listen a little bit. I'm talking right now about a comedy gig I did, and even back then, someone was trying to tell me how to care less and how that was going to open the prison doors of anxiety. Listen, no longer prisoner to the judgment and opinion of others. And when you're no longer that prisoner, I can't tell you the limitations that you have destroyed. They're gone. They are limiting beliefs that no longer exist. And so going forward, you're going to have such an internal power, because you're going to be very consistent in your identity and who you are. And so I guess I've always had that drive, going back to the high school football team and having that energy and just wanting to be more, become more. And I was also thinking about identity beliefs. even back when I was 13, 14, 15, 16 years old. I had a great dad, father, Marine, chief of police in our little hometown. However, people would respond to me, either your dad's a prick, I hate him, you're Cliff's kid, or, oh, your dad, he's a chief of police. So my dad's was bigger than life, his identity in the community. Even to the point where I joined the sheriff's department in the county where I grew up in. I remember arresting a drunk driver and him yelling in the back seat, who the hell are you to arrest me? And I'm Cliff Yates, that's who I am. You're not Cliff Yates, I know Cliff Yates. And so it's always, because I was Cliff Yates Jr., so I always felt in a little way, I don't think I realized it till later, that I wanted so deeply to create and have my own identity. Yeah, I love my dad, his reputation, the lessons I learned from him. I had great parents, positive, always backing me, supporting me in whatever I wanted to do. But my dad was a great, he was really a personality in the community, in the town. Of course, he was chief of police. And so wherever I went, oh, you're Cliff's kid, you're Cliff's boy. Hey, that seems great at the time, but growing up, I guess really having a drive for your own identity. Who the hell am I? Who am I as a person? Is that who I am, Cliff's kid? And so maybe that's why I had a drive, partly to express myself in comedy, but also striving I want to go to Hollywood. I want to go to California. I was always loving the California teams. I wanted to go to a large metropolitan police agency, maybe because I was striving for that identity. So then when I took the painful, although exciting, decision to leave my job at the Livingston County Sheriff's Department where I'd worked for 5 years, move away, sell everything but my car, move away from where I had grown up, going out to Los Angeles, knowing nobody, well, except my aunt and uncle who lived in Santa Monica, so I could stay with them a few days, starting new, a whole new life. Ooh, man, that was tough. All along the way, driving out there, oh man, tears. Am I doing the right thing? Questioning myself. This is crazy. Why did I do this? I'm alone in a hotel in the middle of Utah, driving to California, not knowing what the future holds. Hey, that's exciting. That's great. I'm joining the largest sheriff's department in the world. This is great. Ooh, I'm alone in this hotel room. Ooh, sitting alone with my thoughts. Is this the right thing to do? But then as time goes on, developing friendships and connections, and oh, people know me for Cliff Yates. That was really important for me, that identity, the self-identity belief in who I was and having my own identity, right? There was no, in California, there was no, you're Cliff's kid. Oh, are you Cliff Yates Jr.? Oh, I knew your dad when. I knew your dad did this. So I had none of that because I was starting from a clean slate in California. So I guess maybe that was part of my drive. That was this part of the hunger that I had. Maybe that was partly why that was implanted in me, and that was part of the energy that I had going forward. And so, man, it's good to look back and recognize that and share that with you, because maybe you can tap into that. Maybe there's something you can tap into going forward. And this is all about me connecting and sharing with people who are driven to become more, even though things are great. I love my life. I am blessed right now at age 68. Right? I have friends a little bit older. I have friends a lot a bit younger than me. They passed on. They've died. They've died. And so my lesson is going forward is what would they want me to do? I want to live my best life. And so I'm living a life of happy dissatisfaction. In other words, I'm happy with everything that I've been blessed with and how I'm living. My friends and family learned very recently how important the quality of our relationships are in relation to the quality of our life. So I'm happy with the relationships that I built and I still have. I love it, but I'm happy that I'm still happily dissatisfied, that I still want more. I want to become more. It's not that I want to get more, but I do want to have a bigger footprint in positively impacting others. I realize I'm in that season of my life. I know that Tony Robbins talks about, from 15 to 25, we're in this season of growth and experimenting and trying to find our identity. And then from 20 or 30 to 50, we're really thriving in our work life, and we're really, we're gaining money and making more, and we're becoming better in our career. And then he talks about a season of 65 to 105, where now we're actually sharing, coaching, mentoring other people. And so I feel I'm in a weird combination of that, where I am loving to share coach, mentor, and be a part of other people's transformation. I still have the hunger and drive for my own transformation to the next level, becoming more than I am right today. Raw and real, and I talked about that earlier. Going forward, that's the key. Raw and real. Why? Because it shows people authenticity. Real. Okay, this person's real. They can't fake this shit. You can't fake it if you're raw and real. Well, you can fake it for a little bit, but eventually, proximity. When you're around people, guess what? Who they truly are is going to reveal themselves to you, because you can only fake it for so long. That's why if you're truthful, if you're always operating from the truth, even though you might be vulnerable in all of your flaws with other people, the fact that you're open to being vulnerable with other people, to sharing your innermost thoughts and feelings, that's going to deepen your relationships and your connections with other people. And so when you can have that mindset, and that's got to come from a place of truth. Yeah, when you're sharing a vulnerability, a weakness, something that you're working on, that's a flaw of yours, you're not going to make that up. Why would you do that? Because you know you don't have to, because we're all not perfect, right? Perfect, that's a good thing to strive for. At the same time, recognize there's no such thing as perfection. Perfection no existe, my father-in-law used to say in Spanish. To some extent, that's what he was saying. But perfection is not there. So if you're always coming from a place of truth and doing the right thing for the right reason, in the right way, at the right time, it's going to be very easy. When you're always telling the truth, it's very easy, because when you're not lying, you don't have to remember the lie to try to repeat it the next time to be consistent. No. When you're always coming from a place of truth, it's going to be very easy. You're going to be authentic, raw, real, and you know what? People are going to recognize that. They're going to connect with you on a deeper level. Your friendships are going to be a little deeper, more connected. Not with everybody. Remember, you're going to be decisive. You're going to be confident and consistent in your identity and who you are and what you're going through. And that's why, even though a lot of people, they don't want to hear it, right? You think, no one wants to hear my troubles. Really? True friends do. I talked about this earlier. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I see you stopping by to see what's going on with this crazy, motivated Cliff Yates. Subscribe to the channel. You're going to see more videos, more crazy shit that's going on. I'm raw, real, authentic. That's why I'm live with you right now for the past 42 minutes. But, and I talked about this earlier, you know, I know a lot of people, I like that they want to put their positive life forward and show all the great things that are happening. You know, sometimes people poo-poo that, oh, that's just fake book stuff. That's, you know, that's not their real life. You know, they're putting positive things. Hey, I like that they're putting positive things forward. But listen, all of us are going to hit with the same wind of tragedy, anxiety, and tough times. If you haven't already, or not now, it's coming in the future. Build up some immunity for that. It's going to happen. And when it happens for me, I share it. Sometimes I'll get hateful comments or private DMs. You know, Cliff, I wouldn't share that personal story with people. People don't want to hear it. Listen, when you're going through deep problems and anxiety, you're going to find out three things, right? Who your true friends are, because when all hell breaks loose, true friends are going to hang around. Fake friends are not going to be there. And you're going to find out how strong you are. And if you've been through the past, other problems, anxieties, you're going to remember, have a long memory. Oh, I've been through this before. Oh, I've made it through before. I know how strong I am. I got the reps in. This is tragic. I understand that. But now I see who my true friends are. And I remember how strong I am. And I'm going to be a little bit stronger now as I go through this. I'm going to keep moving. And I know this is going to build up immunity for future bad shit that might happen to me. I can get through that bad shit even more. Tony Robbins talked yesterday in a video, and he was talking about a friend of his that was like a Top Gun. You know, he was like on a central casting for Top Gun. He was a fighter pilot, right? This is in the 70s, right? Big strapping young man. And then he got shot down in Vietnam, taken prisoners by the North Vietnamese. 7 years he was in captivity, tortured, right? Beat up, just humiliated, interrogated. 7 years. Decades later, trouble in his business, IRS is coming after him. Took 3 years of fighting to get his money back. He was going through a hellacious time. Tony Robbins says to him, hey, how do you do that? How do you get through this? How do you handle this? And the guy said to him, Tony, 7 years in a Vietnamese prison. You think the IRS could get to me? Hey, he had immunity to future hardships by what he went through in that Vietnamese prison. Now, do we have to be in a Vietnamese prison to have that perseverance, that tenacity? No. You know why? Because we can learn. He learned from his own experience, but you know what? We can learn from our own experience, and we can learn from other people's experience. What have they been through? People write books on it. They share what they went through. Now it's up to us, if we want to, learn it and implement it, right? Jim Rohn used to talk of years ago, right? People they start a lot of books. Only 3% finish the book. 3%. There are people, right? And they put forth a book that says, hey, listen, I made $1 million in 1 year by doing this. And I wrote a book on how I did it. You know how many read that book? Not very many. Not very many. That person already did the work. They were the who. If you want what they want, right? Key factor, all right, who's already done what I want? I'm going to model what they've done. I'm going to shortcut some of the bad things not to do because they've already done it and they're sharing with me what those things are. How many people read that book and implement those things? Very few. Why? We don't know. It's a mystery. It's a mystery why people don't live up to their full potential. It's a mystery. Not for you and I. Not for you and I. We're driven. We know the God-given gifts that we have already. We know already we're enough. We already have everything we need going forward to do what we want to do or go after what we want to do. And so we're going to implement those things knowing full well we are meant for more. And listen, we're going to live life to its fullest because internally we have certainty. Internally we have consistent certainty as to our identity and who we are, what we believe, and why we believe it. Externally, there's no sense in having too much certainty because it isn't. We can get hit by a bus today, this afternoon, but up until that point, I can live my life fully. Epictetus was a great Stoic philosopher, right? Somebody says, why are you doing all those things? You might die today. Yes, I might die this afternoon, but until then, let's have lunch, right? We don't know what's coming down the road. We all know we're going to die at some point. That's not always a bad thing to keep that in mind. You know, some of the great emperors like Marcus Aurelius, he had people whispering to him as he marched through the city with his big breastplate on as the emperor, and people were cheering him. He had people reminding him in his ear, you're going to die. You're going to die. You can't live forever. He was reminded, oh man, I am mortal. Live life. Live life. Don't go through and float through it. Live it with intention. Anticipation is power, not reaction. Don't sit there in reaction, floating down the river of life. Get in your damn kayak and man it. Get those oars out and start directing your life now. And do not wait till you're 3 feet from the falls because it's going to be too late to make those changes. Start today. Start right now. It's powerful. You have the ability. I'm encouraging you. Listen, no one can stop you but you. All right, everybody. That's it for today. That's my rant of positivity, optimism, accountability. And you remember, please remember, because I know you're optimistic. I know that you're motivated, you're inspired to do more, to become more. I don't care what your age, you have that drive within you. You hear that inner voice talking to you. So get after it today. But just remember, people are going to attack your optimism, your positivity. They're going to make comments. They're going to try to pull you back down. Why? Because they're addicted to mediocrity and you're not. And listen, it's only 1% that is going to be above the clouds. The sun is always shining. The sun is always going to be shining on you because you're going to be above the fray. You're going to be above those clouds. You ever been in a plane? Right? You take off from upstate New York, Rochester. It's overcast. It's depressing. Right? You've got that seasonal depression. Right? It's just been cloud cover for months on end. You're getting that airplane kind of feeling down because of the constant overcast. And then the plane is climbing as you start on your trip down to Florida. And within about 90 seconds, you break free of the clouds into bright sunshine. And you realize, oh, I'm on top of those clouds. Oh, Then you come to realize, because you see it right in front of you, the sun is always shining. The sun is always shining. It's just that we are below the fray. We are below the cloud cover. It's the clouds that are preventing us from seeing, experiencing. Well, if you get your life above the clouds, then you can look down on those clouds. Look down on the clouds. You know what? You're above the clouds right now. I can tell in your mentality, your philosophy, and the way you're living your life, you're above the damn clouds. Listen, I may die tomorrow. It could happen. And if I do, come back and look at this video and know that I lived right up to the end. If I die in my sleep tonight, just know today I lived right up to the end. All right, everybody, you know I love you. Hey, I got to get after the rest of my day, and I want you to do the same. Go forward. You have total control of your mentality, your emotional state. The rest of your day, get out of judgment and just get into observation. Don't judge. No, don't have an opinion of others. Just watch and observe. Okay. And then you're going to find out how powerful that is. All right, everybody, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, join the community of progress. I'm glad you're here with me. All right, I'll see you in the next video.